Hi everyone, it's Chris speaking. Welcome or welcome back. Today we are going to do episode 2 or video 2 if you like on building your support network. So last time we talked about building your support network with siblings. Today we're going to talk about building your support network with parents. Now if you're like me or you're lucky enough to have parents like me, they didn't really impose a whole lot of gender on me when I was growing up. I sort of rebelled against the gender stereotypes or what was stereotypically female, so I guess they had an indication. I also came out as gay or as a lesbian about a decade before I came out as a trans man, so they knew that I like women and I was pretty gender non-conforming and I didn't like dresses or anything. There were definitely snippets of time when I tried to femme it up, to be what society wanted me to be, and it never felt quite right, so I reverted back to jeans and t-shirts, and that's all I would wear. I would wear baggy jeans, baggy t-shirts to hide as much of myself as I possibly could. Parents are an important step, particularly if you are younger. If you're in your teens and you are a trans person, it's very hard to have that conversation, particularly the first conversation. The thing that I really want to drill home here is that your comfort means more than their happiness. And that might seem selfish. At the same time, transition will eat you up from the inside if you can't start having these conversations. So I'm going to give you my experience of how I told my parents, and I have touched upon this briefly before. If you have seen a video where I've talked about this before, feel free to click away from this one. Like I said, my parents are pretty open. I came out as gay to them and they were okay. And when I came out as a trans man or transitioning, I did start the conversation by I'm questioning. How I did that was I asked them, I had this moment, I figured out that something was going on and I needed help, and I asked them to a sit-down meal. At that sit-down meal, I said to them that I was questioning my gender, and they were pretty good about it straight away. They very obviously didn't know what to say, but they gave me the platform to speak, and that's what you can ask for from your parents. Parents may jump in because they don't understand, and they will tell you that it's a phase, or they will tell you to wait. And if you are really young, 12, 13, 14, then you are going to have to wait a couple of years until you can get on hormones. But you can look at things like hormone blockers. That's up to you and your parents to work out. But start having those conversations. So it's really important for you to be quite strong in what you're saying. It is a hard topic and it's going to get emotional as you talk about it. It did for me at 27 or 26, 27, older than the kids that are transitioning are. And when I had that conversation, I said, I'm questioning. I don't know what it means for me. I don't know what it means for all of us yet, but something has happened and my whole life has shifted, and things that didn't make sense in the past are now starting to make sense, and I need help. The thing that I said to them was that I need help, and as soon as I said that, they basically, it turned, the emotion in the room turned to, okay, well, I have a child who needs help regardless of age. I have a child who is obviously in distress and needs some help. And that would be how I start to build my support network with my family, or how I did. It's a little bit different if you don't feel safe at home. If you have parents who aren't accepting of you, then your support network is going to have to start somewhere else. And there will be other places for you to start that support network. Keep watching this series, and I will try and put some resources down below for people who aren't in a safe area. When I decided that I was going to start living socially as male, it was another conversation that I had to have. I probably had 100 conversations with different groups surrounding transition until I was fully living as male, socially, and getting misgendered and whatever, and dealing with all of that. When I came out to mum and dad and said, no, I do want to start going by male pronouns, can you call me by this name, can you start trying these pronouns? It was a hard process, and we've talked about things like language changes before. And then I had to come out to my extended family, and that's another video. So my parents were pretty good from start to finish. They still sometimes slip up. It's quite funny when my dad slips up now, because he gets all flustered and he's like, "Oh, I didn't mean that." And that's okay. It's okay. It's going to happen. They lived with me for 26 years or 27 years, whatever, prior to transitioning, and they've done pretty well. The main thing for you starting to build your support network is having these conversations. Politely say to your parents, "I need you to listen and not talk back to me about what you think is right for me. We can have this conversation, but I need you to listen first." And once they're on side, or once they've at least started to have that conversation with you, I have a transgender friend, male to female, whose father doesn't get it, but does really little things to try and keep her in his life. And even though he doesn't get it, he is making really small changes, and those small changes have taken close to a decade. Maybe not that long, maybe 5 or 6 years. But it is a long process for some people, and for some people they'll be like, no. And for some people, you've got to keep shoving it in their faces and proving to them that it's not a phase. And I hate that has to happen for kids, for adults, for anyone. It's not nice to have to keep feeling like you've got to prove yourself. And I guess that's why people cut off parents or cut off family members, and that's a hard thing to do. That takes guts. If you are someone out there who has had to cut off a family member, you are braver than I am, and amazing. Your happiness comes first, and I think that's where that comes from. So, like I said, these videos are going to be rambles because they're my own experiences, and I apologize, but be strong. Sit down, tell them you're questioning, or tell them you're trans if you're convinced and you have seen the medical doctors, or maybe you just feel it in your gut, and that's okay. Start small with your parents. Remember, they have grown up with you. They've seen you be the person that they thought you were, and no, you're not changing, but that is something that they're probably not going to come to terms with straight away, and that happened with mine. My suggestion when you are building the support network with your parents is ask them to start really small. Changing your name, changing your pronouns are things that they can practice with you, and that's a good starting point. Alright guys, that's it from me. As always, thank you so much for watching, particularly if you made it to the end. If you like the content, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more of it, then click my face, which will be somewhere down on the screen, and I'll catch you next time. Oh, goodbye.